Hey, howdy and hello and welcome to The Crazy Train, the comedy podcast with no rails from Emotionally 14. I'm about to say the comedy podcast with emotional problems, but spoilers, that comes later. You find out about that. I'm your host, Rob Wade, and I'm joined, as always, by my rock, the incomparable and inimitable Blake Harmer.
Hey, howdy. If you do want the emotional problem cast, join us on the crying cast.
Yeah, this is true. Or the depressed trike, which was still, is still on the docket as one of those projects you might be able to explore one day. And joining us as well is a special guest. So we've been bringing them in gradually over the last couple of episodes, but we are thrilled this evening to be joined by Spud from the Britpod scene and more specifically the comedy cast. Good evening, mate. How are you doing?
How's it going, lads? Thanks for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming on. It's we are getting a lot of good feedback about bringing people in from kind of new people in, and I'm really grateful to you for joining us. So, the comedy cast. Now, I am familiar with the premise. Obviously, as I say, we are Britpod scene buddies.
Yep.
But for those who are coming to this show and they're like, well, I think I understand it, but I might be wrong. What's it all about?
The basic thing is I just wanted to start a podcast where I could interview comedians and speak in an honest kind of fashion about the art of comedy. Like without me, like some people have accused me of wanting to get into stand-up, and I don't. But I think I've probably learned enough by now to do it. But I
go. Yeah, sure.
Maybe, I don't know. But then you see, I've always said I won't, so I can't go back on my word now. But I just want to...
You totally can. It's 2018.
I suppose I can. But I just want to... get to know more and more comedians and kind of why they got into it and how they do it and just who, what, where, when, why, and how behind each kind of comedian. Because... one thing, I had this preconception that like a lot of comedians were kind of sad and they were working out stuff on stage as kind of therapy. And I found out very, very quickly, that is not fucking true at all. Most of the comedians, like 99% of the comedians I've had on are having a fucking great time and they love doing what they're doing.
This
and
is where I was going wrong.
Yeah, they're not clinically depressed at all. They're all grand.
Yeah, as I say, I was definitely going about it the wrong way when I tried then. I was definitely Pagliacci in that particular scenario. But I love that kind of premise that, I've floated a kind of idea of doing something similar for Emotionally 14 way back when, just like interviewing creative people and kind of finding out what makes them tick and a bit more about them behind the scenes as well. Because obviously, I don't need to tell you this. Comedians on TV, I'm sure, are very different from how they act in just kind of normal conversation, normal company. All that sort of thing is probably like a complete departure from some of, their style might be one thing on stage and then, behind the scenes, they're really nice and friendly. There might be a sort of abrasive fucker on the stage. Like Jimmy Carr might be, oh, you can't say that, Grandma. Behind the scenes, but on stage, anything goes,
Yeah, we were talking about this like a couple of episodes ago. We're talking about there's supposed to be three different types of Ricky Gervais. There's Ricky with celebrities. There's Ricky who his friends and family would know, and then there's also a third one as well. So there is that, I think. But I think the best comedy comes from people who are the most honest about, or who are really good at tricking us into making us think that they're honest. Like, I don't know about you, but like I was the whole Louis C.K. thing. It's
that's a peculiar one.
It's problematic.
yeah. I mean, understandably so. It's one of those things. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those subjects we tend to not really delve into much in that respect beyond. But I mean, that is an especially weird one.
Oh, it's a fucking minefield. Because I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because I really like his comedy. And you can make the argument, but he didn't. He did ask. Yeah, but he asked, and he's in this weird position of power where like a lot of them who said would feel pressure that they had to say and this kind of stuff. And then there's like, and then what's not the most horrible, but a horrible aspect of it is that like all those times he was joking about the weird perverted stuff. It wasn't that oh shit, he's saying the things that we've all thought. Like he's actually done them. So
this is it. It throws a lot of those things into question. Like, well, hang on, how much of this now is performance and how much of it is recollection.
Yeah, and I prefer if it was performance, like.
Yeah, exactly. It does. Like, it's one of those. I guess it's like finding out how the sausage is made. You know, you find out a bit more than you care to about the people you like. And I had this not in a comedic sense, but Ryan Giggs. When I was a kid, like, you know, footballers were all like, you know, playing for fouls and theatrical. And then obviously there was like, this was the era of Cantona being like trouble off the pitch, but you couldn't help but admire him as a footballer because he was excellent. But then Giggs was like my idol when it came to a footballer when I was a kid, because he always came off as really nice. It was almost like back page news of the paper when you got a yellow card.
They know where you're going.
And then, you know, he's a shitbag behind the scenes. It's like, no, not you, Ryan Giggs, you bastard. You've ruined the only thing I held sacred about football was that you were nice, because my uncle told this story once where he met you and you were really humble. And now it's because you realised he couldn't fuck you. But
Rob, like,
I don't know if he would have ever fucked my uncle.
Rob, on what you said there about knowing too much about how the sausage is made. Recently I bought, it's a while ago now, I bought vagina beer.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah, you heard me. Vagina beer.
Okay. I know. I understand what you mean. Yeah.
You know this thing? And you know, I drove up because in the city I used to live in, it's the only pub in Poland which is selling it. So I drove up. I was meeting some friends. I bought 2 bottles and thought this was the funniest fucking thing in the world. This vagina beer. And then they did this weird fucking thing which put me off. The bottle has.
How did they open it?
No, the bottle has this obviously it's a wraparound label, but part of it comes apart, and you can scroll it out. You can see the lady who has donated the yeast from her vagina. So that put me off.
I'm willing to bet that even having never seen one of these labels, I can picture the kind of person who's done that vividly.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: like, it's so fake. They look like these beautiful, and they're all given like sexy rating, favorite position, all these kind of things. It's like, no, why did you just? I would have drank the vagina beer.
Yeah. And then now it's like you've made me overthink beer made from genitals. Like how
And also, if they're saying they look like that, what do they really look like?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So, for those who've never heard the Crazy Train before, Spud's already fitting right in. For the next hour or so is basically a rambling fucking shambles of the highest caliber. We go on the Crazy Train, we start with a point of conversation and we go wherever the conversation takes us. Nobody knows where the Crazy Train goes. Now, if that sounds like your bag, then welcome aboard. We're glad to have you. If it doesn't, then jump off at the next station, stick a spoon up your ass and get to Fuck Island. But thank you for trying. That's out of the way. So we had a question. It's interesting that you mention, you know, kind of, I mean, you know, let's be fair, slightly cringeworthy topics like beer made from vaginas. Blake, I need you to do a jingle for me, my man.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yes.
Jeremy wrote in what he say.
Thank you, sir. So we've done this in person when we're live, but when we record remotely, we found that the syncing goes slightly off, and we just look like we're trying to talk over each other. Like, no, I'm going to sing loudest. So Jeremy did write in, and one of his questions: what is the most embarrassing thing you have ever done? Now, I can give an example from this week, which is it's certainly maybe not the most embarrassing, but it's certainly on the fucking list. But I'm going to give the floor to somebody else first, unless people need thinking time.
I'd like thinking time.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah. I'll let you go first.
Blake, you're Mr. Lovely, so I'm guessing you returned a library book a couple of days late once and you felt just awful.
Yeah, I couldn't look him in the face, you know.
Yeah.
It's just to shreds.
The thing is with you, like, I'm never sure you're kind of equal parts wonderful, lovely chap, and you know, I feel like dark horse bastard. So you might be like, on one hand, I returned a library book late a couple of days, you know, and then I'm sitting there thinking, I thought that'd be about it, and it's like, then I accidentally ran over an old lady on the way out of the library. So.
Yeah. I do want to make it clear that I'm not the Ryan Giggs of the Crazy Train. That's what I just want to put
No,
that
this is
out
true.
there.
Yeah, the Dark Horse Bastard is purely in the comedic sense.
I suppose the worst. I can't think of anything that leaps to my mind that I think is like, oh, that's really embarrassing. But I do remember I remember being embarrassed at the time because it was sort of like I was quite young at school at the time, but me and my friends at the time, we never used to have a lot of money, obviously. So we used to buy presents for each other. But the joke used to be is that it had to be had to be crap, but was sort of a point, or or like a sort of a comical present, if you will.
Me and my sister did that once with Poundland presents, but we went for the opposite approach, which was you're not allowed to. The more tenuous, the better. And we had a £5 limit.
Yeah. We never went that, but then again, we never really had a lot of money anyway, so it wasn't really an issue.
You're Yorkshirening me right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Poundland, luxury.
Yeah.
We had to go to 99p store.
Yeah.
Because times were tough.
Good on Pound Town.
All right, so you had, the poverty. So you were basically playing poverty peas, yep.
Yeah, so with the poverty peas, I had I decided to thought, oh, well, I know. And so the joke I decided to buy him was some panty liners.
Okay.
And I'd never bought pant liners, obviously, before, and I've never again bought them since.
You shot me.
But we bought Tesco value ones, and what I changed them was I changed the N to an R, so they became party liners.
Right, okay.
So, for his birthday.
Clever.
But when it came to me actually purchasing the said item, I found it rather difficult to obviously explain away. So I then felt the need to buy other random items to go with them.
Right.
And I think it was a bottle of drink and some chewing gum, but I don't know why I thought, yeah, that makes it more okay.
Yeah. Do you mean like just to take it through the till?
Yeah. It wasn't like, in hindsight, I'm glad it wasn't like, duct tape or something, but,
Yeah, if you started buying like, I better buy some duct tape, super glue and a rope. This is fine.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I can't think of anything megally embarrassing. Not otherwise than that. But
Jesus Christ, you're telling me. I was almost prepared for this, but I'm not quite. You're telling me the most embarrassing thing you've ever done is try to buy panty liners in a shop and had to buy other things to make the purchase less obvious.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck.
I know. It's fairly tame. I know.
Yeah, it is. I think you could get away with that in a PG film, Blake, I think.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
In terms of embarrassment, I feel like it barely fucking registers.
No, that's the thing. I've never really had that's the thing. I'm too nice. I can't think of anything much worse than that. But, I mean, feel free to blow me out of the water.
Out of the water. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be another story,
Yeah, it would. It certainly would be an anecdote. Spud, have you had? Has anything come to you yet?
I'm tame as well. Like I'm kind of hard to embarrass, Rob.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, I've so my story it's recent, so it's fresh in my head, and I'm gonna remember it for a while, despite the circumstances allowing for not necessarily. But I will immortalize it. This is one of the things I love about podcasts, and I'm sure you're the same. The fact that any story I tell is now a globally understood anecdote that will be immortalized forever in history by the fact that it's recorded on a day in a recording, which then gets published online. That's, to me, is just, there's something about it that I just find delightful. So what's not delightful is getting fucking hobo drunk at a Hungarian wedding, which on Saturday I did. Now, this whole trip was peculiar in a lot of ways. So I'm not a fan of, I like traveling, but I really hate getting there because I'm 6'7", and planes are not built with 6'7" people in mind. Apart from about 8 seats, which are then on the wing, which means you become part of the fucking team. And also they tend to get brought up by, I'm guessing, dwarfs. Because they always seem to be people who do not need legroom. And yet they're the ones who throw their chair back at the first sign of thing, like they're trying to do some sort of the quickest fucking backflip in existence. But so we went to Hungary for this, like direct to the source for a Hungarian wedding. We went, exactly where you expect a Hungarian wedding to take place. And we get off the plane, and this is one of the embarrassing things because I feel like the biggest fucking pillock in the world in hindsight. we're leaving the airport and a bloke walks up to us and says, taxi, do you need a taxi? And we said, yes, we need a taxi. And he was like, okay, come with me. So we start walking along. Yeah, it dawned on me after we got in the car.
You've never seen the film Taken?
Well, funny you say that. I'm getting there. If I was in the UK and somebody walked up and said, would you like a taxi? And the only credentials they offered were a laminated piece of cardboard that said official taxi, there is no way in hell I would entertain the idea of getting in their fucking car in general in the context of a taxi conversation. But here is where I found myself. Now, a couple of things happened, which are in hindsight, absolute coincidences, but they made me uneasy for the whole 45-minute journey. As we're walking to the car, a bloke taps me on the shoulder, hands me a phone, and asks me to take his picture in front of the airport terminal. So like just for, in the touristy way, like just thumbs up in front of Budapest Terminal 2 or whatever it was. And I took the picture and handed it to him, and he went, oh yeah, good, thanks. I was like, no problem. And I go to the car, and Jen has already moved to the car, wandered over with the driver, but she saw me stop behind, so she stayed out of the car until I got in. And one of the reasons was because it dawned on her quicker than it dawned on me. What if that was a diversionary tactic? And the idea was to separate us. And I got in the car, and then I'm sitting there for the whole 45-minute fucking journey thinking, I've upset his plans. He's going to have to improvise. I'm watching him. I've never watched anybody so close in my life. I'm watching his hands, like he's scratching his chest, and I'm like, he's going for a fucking gun. If he pulls it back, because I'm sitting in the car in the so they drive on the right, so obviously the car bit, the driver's seat's on the left. So I'm sitting in the back right, and I'm thinking if he leans back with trying to shoot me, I can probably just move it just enough. And then maybe I can work on getting it out of his hand. Although, why would he do that on the motorway? And then I'm like, oh God, maybe he'd do it on the motorway. And, and I was sitting there all the way through thinking, I wish I had Liam Neeson's phone number. So then we get to town, and it turns out he's not, a murderer or a rapist or a kidnapper or anything like that I'm aware of. All he was basically, I'm thinking, an unlicensed cab, which, let's say in hindsight, I wouldn't have taken that risk if I'd thought it through, but we'd just been traveling, which means I'm pissed off at this point. And I'm just like, I want to get to the fucking hotel, dump my bag, and then go and get some food. Because at this point, I'm also starving and furious about this fact. So the next day, we get picked up from the airport. And this is all above board. This has been like the reg plate's been given to us ahead of time, so we know what to expect and all that stuff. And we get in the van. and any other context, like, get in the fucking van, but would be cause for alarm as well. But I'd made the mistake of telling this story to one of the guys on the trip who we met up with later about how I was worried that we were going to be abducted and, that nobody knew we were there yet and stuff like that. And we're driving we went to the van, and we went to, the Hungarian wedding is a long day. So you start off kind of with a church ceremony, and then they go to another venue where there's a government one that makes it all legal and all that stuff. And then you go to a venue, maybe a different venue or maybe the same venue, and you have a big party. And the party lasts until dawn for anybody who wants to attend, which I almost managed to do. More on that coming soon. And we're driving along from the church, and the driver gets lost and pulls into this. I've never seen a sadder fucking accommodation in my life than Convoy City in just outside Budapest in Hungary, which is basically like how best to explain this? It's a mock Western Village motel chain, but it looks like it hasn't been touched since the days of the old fucking West. All the signs coming apart. There's a sad cowboy a sad plastic cowboy on the top peering over the bridge. And as I say, we're lost at this point. So the driver pulls up thinking he's dropping us off at the hotel. And my mate turns to me and says, why'd you have to tell me that fucking story about your taxi? Because it turns out then as well, the resort that we were actually supposed to be going to is on the lake. In order to get to the lake, you have to drive past a load of water towers. And he's sitting there thinking, like, we're fucked. We're dead. We're all dead. He's going to kill us all. He's just going to run us straight into the thing, subdue us, come out, punch us all in the face, and kill us all. It's 13 versus 1. But at the same time, everybody's a bit pissed off and tired. Maybe they just welcome death at that point. So we get to that venue, and the wedding ceremony and all stuff is lovely and beautiful, and everybody's very happy and all that stuff. And then the party starts about 3:00 in the afternoon, and I last until about 4 a.m.
Nice.
Before I can't explain what happened. All I can tell you is I went from not only well enough to kind of walk around, have conversations, and get my friend home who was not well enough to do those things. I went from that to I'm covered in sick. And when I say covered, I mean it looked like somebody had thrown a bucket of it on me from the front. And I don't understand the physics of how I managed this. Yeah, I can only assume that I hit a urinal which was concave or something, and it just... But I went from, just having a pee like a normal person to having a pee, but also very much aware that I can't go back into that party. Because it's very, very, if you've been ill while you're in the toilet, you can sometimes get away with it and nobody's the wiser. You might look like you're suffering a bit, but you're not going to be like, but when you've been, basically the victim of a 1990s kids TV show and just go, you end up thinking, no, you know what? It's time for me to go home. Now, Jen, bless her heart, is a very patient human being. And even she was done with my fucking shit that night. She said she's never seen me do this before, but I stood up because I got into bed, got out of the suit, chucked it on the floor, which probably wrote off the floor. Yeah. Went to bed, instantly got up again because I needed to be sick again. And she said she'd never seen me walk forwards and then go, whoa, back the other way in equally large kind of over-the-top comedy steps. It was like a slapstick routine, which was fortunate. I managed to not reach out and grab the nearest thing to hand, which was a fucking wardrobe, which would probably have just brought that straight down on my feet. So I managed to get... So me and my friend who I dropped off earlier were so fucked the next day that we got dropped off at this train station, and we sat on a bench in complete silence for an hour and a half before we were in a state to even move from that bench to go and get some food and drink and just try and regain normalcy. Even now, so this happened drinking on Saturday night. It's Tuesday evening when we're recording, and I still don't feel right. I'm still not quite 100%. I still feel my stomach still feels kind of thing. And today I'm finding myself thinking, have I poisoned myself? Because I was drinking this thing. It's a Hungarian national spirit. It's called Palinka. Now, it's a fermented kind of liqueur thing with... Ostensibly, it comes in different flavors. Officially, it comes in like the ones on the menu, like cherry, peach, plum. Bullshit. It's all just pure petrol. And I've never had an aftertaste that's just pure alcohol, but it's fucking.
How strong is it?
It's like I looked it up today, and it ranges between 35 and 70% alcohol by volume, depending on which one you have and when you have it and where you have it. It's basically
I'm assuming you had all 70 then.
I'm thinking I had all the Palinka in the world. Yeah, and I partly blame the bartender, although I accept that it's my choice and I definitely brought it on myself, because every time he walked past me, he would hand me a Palinka and fuck off. Like it was, he clearly started finding it amusing.
Here is one I will fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's my room.
Take that, Brexit.
You are 52. It wasn't, but whatever. But apparently, we all look alike.
Yeah, Budapest does that to the best of us, Rob. I don't have an embarrassing one. But
I've been there before, and I've had that same problem before with Palinka, and I don't know why I did it again because I hated it then too.
Mine was wine. I'm an awful whore for wine. I like wine, especially when I can get it good stuff.
Yeah,
and it would they sell it like they fill the wine glass right up to the very very tippy top.
Oh, okay.
It's only €1, and you're like, yeah, sign me up, baby. I drank 2 the whole time I was there.
Yeah,
I've been there twice over 2 different weekends. It's amazing. And I went down for my brother's stag, and on the second time I went, and coming back, I had to take the train back to where I'm living.
Yeah,
and I'd never gotten the fear. You know what the fear is?
I'm maybe.
But, okay. The fear. We have this thing in Ireland. We call it the fear, and it's this horrible hangover where everyone's out to get you. You're mad paranoid, mental paranoid. I'd heard the lads talking about this for years and years, and I'd never gotten it. I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, must be a drug come down or whatever. But no, man. I got on the train back from Budapest back here to Poland, and like I was shitting bricks. I thought that the 4 old ladies I was sharing a cabin with were going to murder me, and eat me, and it was horrible. And I had gotten so paranoid that at the stage where like there was how many people? No, there was. It could fit 8 people.
Okay.
Thing in the car, this little carriage in the wagon or whatever it's called, and I had gotten so paranoid that I wouldn't change seats. So I was sitting on the window seat, and there was a woman going to Warsaw in the window seat opposite me. And even though there was no one else sitting anywhere else in the place, I wouldn't move because I was afraid that if I sat somewhere different, she'd do something different to me. And it was just 8 fucking hours.
Wow.
Of paranoia. I was transfixed by it.
I love the idea I love the idea that your fears were completely like well-founded and completely well-placed, and they're just sitting there mumbling away like, he might be getting up. Let me just, if he turns his back to us, I'm going for him. I've got the shank in my back.
I was like, maybe she's paranoid as well.
Yeah, maybe. Entirely possible.
I got off the train and met the wife, and she was all like, woohoo, all wanting to hear the stories of the stag party, and she wanted to go out for a meal and all that with me and find out everything that had happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
She just took a look at me and went, nah, we're going home.
I feel like if Jen had been around, she would have seen me and gone, yeah, you're going fucking home, sunshine. She'd done the sensible thing and left like 4 hours, gone back to the room to sleep. But I managed to walk back on my own steam, which more than can be said for my friend, who was fucking trolleyed, like been destroyed beyond anything I've ever seen of him before. We had to lift him. There were 2 of us, like basically just one arm each. And I worked with him, and he mentioned to me yesterday, and it was a good thing he did, because it kind of, when you've got a relatively good recollection of the evening, but there's small gaps.
Scene missing.
Yeah, exactly. He had a whole movie basically just cut from his evening. He had no recollection after about half midnight, and he was out till about 2. Yeah, about 1:30, 2 o'clock. So he had like a good hour or so at least missing. I had a minute here and there, that sort of thing. And a lot of it was kind of, did I do that? Or did that happen? Or am I just misremembering? But he said, I've got this real pain like round my chest. And I realized, I have to apologize for that. I tried to lift you by myself. And that's why you have pain in the chest, because I'm not very strong. But I did have a go and basically just hoisted you up by your man tits, like just try and rip them off straight up. So
those Slavic weddings, lads, they'll mess you up.
I've done a Polish wedding too, actually, and that was similarly brutal. Yeah. But in a slightly different way, because at least I was drinking whiskey, which I can deal with and I can actually enjoy. But this Palinka stuff, man. Like, if you're ever over there, just next time you're over there, if they offer you any, just run a fucking.
No, you're fine. Wine, give me the wine.
Yeah, exactly. Wine's good. Wine, you can deal with wine. Wine is a known quantity. Palinka is something else entirely, and I can't. So I don't know why I still drank it, because I didn't like it the first time I had it, which was like a year or so ago, and I don't like it now. I certainly don't fucking like it now. But it's mad to me that like it's something that I not only was really happy to drink, but happy to drink a lot of. Probably went through a bottle between 2 of us.
We had this. There's a tradition in Poland that you have to buy a bottle of vodka for every guest at your wedding, including the children.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
So we had 120 at the wedding, so we had 120 bottles of vodka. And we also had, was it 20 or 30 bottles of Bimber, which is basically moonshine.
Yeah.
So there's just different flavors of it, and it was carnage, man. It was absolute carnage. Like, they have, I don't know, maybe the wedding you were at with the bands, they have these drinking games where it could be like boys form a circle and girls form a circle outside that. And when the music stops, they're all kind of variations on the music stops to do something.
Yeah.
So you might have a rolling pin or a balloon and then you got to pass it. But anyway, so we were telling all the Irish about these games and how they were going to be brilliant and all that. And the band came up to the wife and these lads, they don't need any games. They're well on it.
They're good. Yeah. They've made their own fun.
we had our own, we had safe words in case one of us was getting too drunk.
Yeah.
And mine had to be used at 5 in the evening. She's like, you want to slow down a bit? I'm like, well, I'm having a great time. What are you on about? She's like, no. And she said the word, I think it was banana or monkey banana or something like that. And I was like,
something banana.
Okay, fine. Okay. I got the message. I understand. Lay off it for a couple hours. And it's just insane. You know?
Yeah. It's when if it hits you fast enough, it's just like you say, it's just carnage. Like
the thing is, like if it. For listeners, if you get a chance to go to these weddings, go.
Oh yeah, 100%. I had an amazing,
so much better than British and Irish weddings. They're a million times better.
So much fun. It was great.
Amazing.
But I've paid for it. Next day, yesterday, today. I've been paying for it for days. Like, which is, I mean, the bar was free, but I've been paying for it for days. You know, but fuck, it was something else. Like, I can't really
imagine how bad you'd be, Rob, if you didn't get sick though.
That's probably, oh God, that'd be worse. Jesus, I'd have probably, what would have happened, because I've had this happen to me before. I've been to a wedding before. This was in the UK, but I did similarly drink like my life was ending. Like I had a time limit, just, you know, I've got to get it in there. I was keeping pace with my uncle. My uncle lived in France at the time. And so we were both drinking red. I'm not a big wine drinker, or I'm more so now than I was, but I wasn't a big wine drinker at all then, but I was drinking red because he was drinking red. And every time he finished his glass, I would finish mine off. And he was obviously more conditioned for it, being, you know, having 3 decades on me and also living in France, which I'd not done long enough to develop a taste for wine. I got out of the wedding and thinking, I'm all right, you know, I'm in pretty good shape considering. I get home, head hits the pillow. Oh, no. Oh, no. The room is not meant to do this. This is not good. And I'm instantly up, sprint to the other end and just void, you know. And I'm, you know, at that point I'm void as well. Like, as in the lights are fucking off and I'm just in autopilot mode. Just get it out of the system. But Christ, it was an excellent experience. You're absolutely right, Spud. It's, you know, an Eastern European wedding, having done 2 of them now, are tremendous fun. And let's say I remember it all. It's all good, you know, apart from the odd bits and pieces here and there, but I have a really good memory of having an excellent time. But water in between cannot be overstated as a great idea.
No, it's not the water. You know what the trick is? The trick is fat. Eat loads and loads of fatty food.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Loads of bacon and porks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, some rich foods there. It was good.
We made a holy show of ourselves. Our place ran out of beer because it's like in Hungary for Irish people, man. It was panic.
Yeah, like an international incident.
Fucking hell, like, it was crazy. They had bought in because it's like in Hungary. The people putting on the wedding, they have to provide all the food and drink. So that was grand. Like, we knew it would be. Even though we had to buy all this vodka, we're like, right, we're going to have to buy a ton of beer as well because Irish people, you know what I mean? It's like water to them. So we bought in, was it 8? We ordered 4 kegs of beer. We thought that'd be enough in the maths, right? I had done the maths. I'd worked in pubs. I was like, that should be enough because after a couple of hours, they'll just go on the vodka and go mad. Yeah. However, the hotel owner was like, you know, I've heard about these Irish lads, so I'll double it. She ordered 8 kegs of beer.
Fuck.
So at about midday on the second day, she came up to us and she's like, "Look, I'm sorry, something's gone wrong." I was like, "What? Is everything all right?" She's like, "We thought someone was in trouble or something." She's like, "I've ran out of beer." I'm like, "Ooh, all right. But sure, there's plenty of other drink left. There's wine and vodka. They'll be fine." Like, she's, "Well, I have bottles, but they'll have to pay for it." I'm like, "Come on. Of course they'll pay for it. No problem." Like, they're like, "Okay, then there's no problem. We've run out of beer, but they have more beer." Way!
Yeah. So the update is there is no update. You're just paying for them now. All right, cool.
Exactly. You got to pay. And they're all like, finally, we can spend some fucking money.
Yeah. That's the thing is like a lot of the times I'm bad for when I go on travel, like any kind of travels, I'm bad for overestimating how much money I'm going to spend. So I'll pull out, hundreds of pounds more than I need to in euros or forex or whatever, especially as like the exchange rate in Hungary is so generous to like the sterling. It's just, we paid.
I'm a king.
Yeah, totally. I remember the first time we went there, we went to a casino, and Blake, I seem to recall telling you all about my first trip to Budapest. Dawning realization gradually creeping across your face.
Yeah, I think at the moment you mention it,
So we went to the casino, and I tell you what, gambling in a Hungarian casino is fucking great because you put 500 down, everybody thinks you feel like a big shot, but actually you spent £1.50. You're sitting there like put 500 on black, and in your mind you're like James fucking Bond. Actually, you're like, I'll put a cheapskate. No, I love my odds. Thank you. I'll take my £3. Thank you. Great times. But I cannot recommend enough the experience of going to such a thing, even with the Liam Neeson car journeys. But fuck, I've never been so fucking shit-faced. I don't think it's certainly been a while. I've become, as I've got older, I've done it less and less. But every now and then, I just tie one on, and we're just good to go.
I was sort of hoping when you were saying, that the hotel was by a lake, I was hoping like, you thought you were going to get murdered all the way up until that point. And then the biggest irony is that the lake's Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, now I think about it, that guy with the mask did see him out of place at the wedding. Yeah, because I thought it was a ceremonial thing, like a traditional. Because I'm not Hungarian, I don't know. They might have murder a mask it might be a really important job.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
We've run out of alcohol. Time for the purge.
Got to make sure the rest of it lasts longer.
Yeah.
Don't they have this thing in Russia that if there's a fight at your wedding, it's really good luck?
That sounds about right. To be honest,
that sounds awful. Like you just be like, okay, come on, let's go.
But why would you not just play it just spread the odds and just at the reception just smack somebody in the face?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's that point. It's like if they're kind of by rules where it's like if the fight has to organically break out, it can't just be for show. I don't
know. I mean,
you have to really want to kick the shit out of the person next. It can't just be Auntie Gladys, just take one for the team.
It reminded me of something there, lads. Though, like the day after our wedding, one of the lads woke up and he'd never been to Poland before, and we got married in a very wild kind of part of Poland, down in the mountains where there's bears and lynxes.
Oh shit!
Lynxopotami. What's the plural of a lynx? Lynxopotami.
There you go. So, Lynxopusses.
So he comes out of his hotel room, and he's after missing the bus down to the second aid reception, but we're working on getting him a lift. So he thinks, all right, whatever, I'll have a walk around. And he's never been to Poland before. Obviously doesn't speak a word of it. He speaks Irish English, so not proper English. He's walking around and he's like, okay, so I'll just go up this hill. And as he's walking up the hill, he sees a sign. He's like, oh, okay, what's that? Obviously, I don't understand what it says, but he walks closer. There's an animal on it. Gets closer again. Then I get a phone call. Spud. Yeah, John. Everything all right? They had bears here. Like, yeah. How'd you find that out, John? There's a big sign with a bear on it. I was like, yeah, John, that means there's bears around. I wouldn't be walking around if I was you.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, there's bears here. Yeah, how did you figure that one out? There's a bear here. He's holding a sign that says says bears nearby. And I just can't help but enjoy this.
What do I say to a bear in Polish, Spud?
You say thank you, sir. You say hello, and you be polite about it because he'll know. Bears are notoriously polite in Poland.
We have a friend living down there. He's a park ranger, and that gets mad. The park rangers, they don't have any guns. They don't even have a flare gun, not even a pellet gun. And there's fucking bears all over the shagging place. And he says, and he walks around on his own as well. So he doesn't have a partner with him spotting. So he's walking around and he just has to talk to himself. And he said he's walked up on a mammy and her 3 cubs once before. And he's just like, it's okay, bear. I'm going to turn around now, bear. I'm going to leave.
Wow.
And just insane. Like, you know, no gun, nothing, just himself and a bear. It's like, fuck that, man.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not playing that game ever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I take it he uses the treadmill every day.
I would not even entertain the idea. I don't know if it's just like a misplaced kind of optimism or like a sort of deep-seated arrogance. I don't think I could talk a bear out of killing me. I just think it's not in my nature, you know? Like, I feel like if a bear's coming for me, I'm fucking dead.
Enjoy bon appetit, baby.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, now, calm down. No, you don't need all of that spleen. Put it down.
Easy, Mr. Bear. There's plenty to go around. If you leave me one kidney, I can get by. But, you know, I realise they're delicious, but this is not on.
There's some Rennie in my arse pocket. Leave that to last.
Yeah.
You're going to need them.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why. I realise now that's why I was carrying it around all this time. But I've never understood this until now. Thank you, Mr. Bear. Oh, sorry. What I mean is,
not my torso, my precious torso.
I need that for things. So, yeah, Jeremy, that's an answer to your question about some embarrassing moments. You know, Blake once bought some things.
Yeah, I didn't realise I was going into the drinking things, but yeah.
But he went to the 2 items or less, the thing, the big cunt.
Yeah. Fuck you, didn't have a basket.
Yeah. Whatever. Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of other questions. They're a bit different. This is the thing. The thing about the craze train, Spud, I'm sure you've picked up on this, is the questions are also, there's a good chance they're off the wall as well, just because, you know, we do kind of run the gamut from everything from, you know, just telling funny stories to pop culture to movies to all sorts of shit. You know, we just, it's one of the nice things about the format. It's just we can just go wherever the conversation takes us and things. So the next question is, pineapple on pizza, should it be illegal? And I feel like there's too many laws already. I'm very wary of government overreach and overbloat. I feel like a ministry of approved pizza toppings I'm not paying for it. I'll say that. You know, as a taxpayer, that would be on me to fund, and I'm not having it. Are
you stamping your card now as a fully paid up libertarian incel or whatever the fuck?
If I'd go that far.
Too many rules.
I'd have to read the manifesto. But
Brexit is seeping into every part of your life, Rob. You know, less rules, less bureaucracy.
I can't get away from
pizza.
Yeah, I just can't fucking get away from this shit. You know, like there seems to be no escape.
Well, look, lads, look, as an Irish person, and I speak for all of Ireland here.
All right, cool.
It's fucking hilarious.
Well, there's something at least.
It's like every time Brexit comes on the telly, I feel like just, you know, Nelson from Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just like, oh God, this is like CBeebies. What the fuck? Sorry, I'm just going to mention something that's just happened to me off camera. So Jen's just returned home. Hello. And she's just pulled out 2.187 kilograms
of pizza pineapple.
Bear.
Brexit.
Right.
What is it with you and large quantities of cheese?
This sort of size.
Oh yeah.
It's a wheel of cheese. I think I could.
Now that's a weekend.
That is a weekend. Yeah.
Nice.
Spend the rest of the fucking week on the shitter, but
yeah. Well,
worth
it. Like you were going that way anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, there is that. Yeah. Something about. I seem to just get cheese as a gift a lot. I don't know what it is about. You know, maybe I've just kind of.
Do they look at you and go, "Yeah, cheese"? That's
he's a man. He's a man for whom cheese. There is no such thing as too much cheese.
What do libertarian incels love? I know. I must point out, Rob. I only learned what an incel was yesterday.
Okay.
And I've been calling everyone an incel since.
That's fine. You know, I know people who do that unironically. So
and there's another one was cisgender.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Did not know what that was. You're
better off staying clear of that whole.
That's a strange one. That's
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a funny old world, isn't it? It's a peculiar peculiar place, but it's entertaining. I can't.
May you live in interesting times.
Yeah, well, quite, you know, and never has that been more appropriate, I guess. But what's the one that he says in 300 as well? Like, may you live a long life. It basically says like, it's something about it. It's the guy who's kind of deformed and like he tries his best to sort of help him out and he can't, so he betrays him. And his insult is like, may you live a long and healthy life. And it basically translates to pussy. Pussy. Yeah, you're not very good to fight, are you?
You lived a long time, huh? What a loser.
Oh, what a ponce. Look at that. Look at this guy. Get this fucking guy.
Look at you, you're 40.
Oh. Yeah, in Sparta, you're like 17. Rubbish. Oh, you got all your adult teeth. Nancy. So yeah, pineapple on pizza, where do you guys line up? I'm not talking, you know, hyperbolically about the law. I'm just talking, do you like it or not?
If we're going to talk about the law, you know, do natural sugars count as part of the sugar tax? Does that mean pineapple on pizza is going to be more expensive?
No, I think actually, if anything, people are complaining because that's not the case. Because especially like all those juices and stuff that have got, you know, it's got all the fruits. It's like, yes, but it's also got 3,000% of my daily allowance of sugar. So if I drink one, I will get type 2 diabetes in a heartbeat, just like a snap of the fingers. I'm done. And then I'll lose the ability to do that. Because I'll finish the bottle and, you know, iron lung. But I've got a weird kind of life trajectory, I guess. But, you know, my experience is not typical, I guess. Draw your own conclusions. But, Spud, how about you?
I think, lads, if the food doesn't come from or live in the sea around Italy, then it probably shouldn't be on a pizza. You know?
Okay. Yeah, I can swing.
That's kind of my rule. But as well, like, to be all food snobby, if you go to Italy, they don't put any more than 3 things on a pizza. Okay. So it has the base and the cheese and then any 3 things. That's
okay. So the sauce you include the sauce in that as a part of the 3?
No. The sauce isn't part of the 3.
Oh, okay. So it's 3
sauce, the cheese, and then 3. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the way it goes, or maybe the cheese is counted. I don't remember. Someone did explain it to me, but anyway. Yeah, so I don't see pineapple. Nah.
No, I thought you were going to say like no, not to put too fine a point on it or anything. But if you go to Italy and ask for a pineapple on the pizza, they'll just spit in your pocket. It
will not. It doesn't happen.
Just get a straight up.
Then again, I mean, it's not very fair on the pineapple region of Italy.
No, it's true.
Much a line.
Yeah. But yeah, it's. I've never been a big fan of it, to be honest. I think it's just that kind of that blend of sweet and savoury that, you know, doesn't really exist anywhere in nature. So that kind of, you know, donuts is really same. You know, that fat and sweet are not really things that generally combine so much. Tends to be.
It's not my go-to topping. I don't dislike it I've tried it. I don't think it's, you know, a horrible taste or anything. But it's like it's not been like, oh no, my God, this is amazing. I must have it every day of my life. It is a case of I. Once in a blue moon, or if someone's having it, yeah, fine. But I don't order it ever or anything like that, so I tend to avoid it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I've had worse things in my mouth, but I've also had better.
Yeah, fair. All right.
And we're back to vagina beer.
It's still in my fridge. I'm afraid to open it. It's still in my fridge downstairs, and I'm just so disappointed with the label. I'm just like, you fucking misogynist. You fucking ruined it. Fuck's sake, like.
Did you manage to take this concept?
I mean, it could have been a cool thing, vagina beer, but you had to ruin it by being sexist fucking pigs. You know, not that I'm a flag bearing feminist or anything like that, but it's just like, don't be a dick about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there are ways to.
There was a limit.
It's already mental that you've produced beer from fucking yeast or something from a woman's bits.
Yeah.
You already said vagina. I shouldn't be embarrassed. It's Irish Catholic guilt here. I find it hard. But like, you've already made something really disgusting and
you drank the beer. That's 10 Hail Marys.
Yeah. So Jeremy, it's bringing the law in seems excessive, but I think you're generally in good company with people not being fans of pineapple here. And I say in Italy, by the sounds of it, they'll just straight up drop kick you. That's how I assume it works. Anyway, I've never been, sadly, but there you go. And his other question was, what is the very worst remake of a movie ever, and what is the best?
Ooh.
Yeah, good question, isn't it? I would say the best is probably the 1982 John Carpenter's The Thing, right?
That's what I was about to say.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, that is possibly one of my... I mean, generally remakes don't tend to blow me away because I normally go like, well, they either just copy the original note for note or they don't do the original the justice that it deserves.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I've seen a film and gone, oh no, that's such a good version of it, they've done it better, you know. So that's why I would say The Thing, well, it's a remake in the sense it's a retelling of the story, but if anything, that version is actually closer to the original story than the 1950s Thing was.
Yeah, true. And obviously the special effects in The Thing, the John Carpenter Thing, actually have stood the test of time, whereas I would imagine The Thing from Another World, probably not so much.
No. I mean, you know, you can't be too... I can't really hate on the 1950s Thing for special effects purposes.
No, that's okay. You come from the wrong bloodline to hate on bad movies, I think.
Well, yeah, and also it was summertime, and to be honest, for its time, it's still a good film. I mean, I will defend the film. I'm just saying, yeah, but it's not the 82 John Carpenter Thing. So.
No.
I mean, I don't like I know that it wanted to be a remake, but ended up being a prequel to the 1982. But the most recent, I think it's about 2011 or whatever it was. Thing.
Oh yeah, the one that ended up being set in the Norwegian base that preceded the dog was running away from.
It was okay, but I felt like weirdly, because they used CG to do the effects, it still doesn't actually look as good as the 82 film because it's not there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, something about CG that it's very easy for it to date horribly I don't know what it is about it. There just seems to be, maybe it's a certain sheen on it that just makes it, after a few years, it's just old hat already. I think CG also moves so much quicker than that. Yes. And I think it's because, and I think that, you don't, I mean, I recently rewatched the original 90s Jumanji. Okay. And yeah, that's not aged well, special effects wise. No, I think I saw that a few years ago and seem to recall thinking the same thing. The only thing that rescued it for me was Bebe Neuwirth, who I can't remember what character she plays, but Lilith from Frasier, because I love her. I think she's great. So seeing her in any film made me, will endear me to that film a little more than it otherwise would have. But yeah, as to like worst remakes, I can't recall anything that I've really found that bad.
I mean, normally if I see a film and I see there's a remake coming out of it, if I don't think it would hold any candle to it, I would just won't watch it. What's the Day the Earth Stood Still, for example.
Okay, yeah.
Literally just before that film, the Keanu Reeves remake hit the cinema, my dad showed me the original Day the Earth Stood Still, and I watched it. The credits rolled, and I went, "Well, the remake's going to suck," because the ending of that film is basically the alien telling of Earth that sort your shit out, or I'll come back and blow you up.
Because if you don't,
and I just went, you wouldn't get that ending in the film anymore.
No, it's true.
Would not. And I just went, and all I could think of when I went like, I'm not going to go see this American remake, because it will be the ideas are, oh no, space monkeys are attacking type thing that's happening, and that's what I don't. And that's why I'm sort of like, so I've never watched it. So this is my problem. I've never decided, I'm going to spend 2 hours of my life watching a film that I know won't stand up to the original.
Yeah. I've even found I think the other thing as well is nowadays in a film, they would start, if they were going to do an environmental storyline, they would bang on about it from the opening fucking credits. Because I've seen even those ones like Sharknado and shit, they find a way to work a global warming message into every fucking film. It's like, I understand this is an important subject to talk about, and I'm quite happy for them to talk about it in sort of in context, but fucking Sharknado, that's not where I look to for where the world should be shaped on an ethical level. Like it's
you pick up that bottle or sharks will get you.
It's a fucking shark tornado. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't understand at that point, what point in that pitch meeting we're like, yeah, tell you what, right? It's really, I'm loving this whole tornado made of sharks. And I think that the bit at the end that's going to make Rob cross is really, really good. But I feel like it needs a message. Like, fuck off. The message is, if a tornado ever came with sharks, we'd be fucked.
Yeah. That film didn't need a message, really.
No.
It knew what it was. It didn't need to
exactly. It certainly didn't need 4 fucking sequels or however the hell many it ended up with.
Yeah, I must admit, I've only seen the first one. I've never seen the others.
Yeah. Spud, like, are you big on, like, are you a big movie person?
No, I am terrible with films.
Okay, that's all right.
I used to be very big into them, but no, two small kids, no.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. Obviously, you have to be selective about what you watch with kids as well.
No, I don't even get it. I watch maybe one film a month. That's it.
Okay, that's all right.
It's awful.
Okay.
No, it's not all right. It's terrible. I'm missing so many good things. I do watch a fair bit of the Netflix comedy specials and stuff like that. And,
Well, I imagine it being doing the comedy. Doing the podcast you do. I imagine it works well as research and prep and stuff.
Dramas and stuff as well. I will watch. Like there was that Ozark. Oh, I thought Ozark was good.
Was that good? I heard it was good.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. It's like Breaking Bad, but with hillbillies. And so if you like Breaking Bad, you probably like it. But it's a bit more. It's less drug dealery and more kind of money launderingery.
Oh yeah, it's the Jason Bateman one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes,
good.
I do remember hearing about it.
One did come to me though. It was reminded to me when I googled there quickly. Russell Brand.
You're talking about
Arthur. That was brutal.
That's the thing. Again, loved the original, and then I'm like, I don't. And but the thing is, I'm not a fan of Russell Brand. So again, I was like, I saw the poster for that, and I just went, no,
no, thank you. I have a mixed relationship with Russell Brand in terms of.
It's a weird one. Sorry, Rob, to cut across you, but
no, it's fine.
I think remakes are very strange because I don't really get why stuff is remade unless a complete balls was made of it the first time. Then we'll have another go. I think they did that with like Spider-Man and stuff. That's fair enough. Okay, you can have another go at that. But if something's made and it's done really well, and you want to remake it 10 years or 15 years or 20 years later to try and get a new generation, why not just like remake the film, but like with just kind of different characters and just hope that no one really catches it? Because like, do you know what I mean? Like all romantic comedies are the same. All horror films are the same, basically, if you boil it down. So like, you don't really need to remake stuff. Just make it in another way and change the names and you have a whole new film. I don't get it.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Like I'm not a big rom-com person, but I mean, every now and then, the ones that tend to get the most kind of praise tend to be the ones that just break that formula somehow, even if it's just something relatively insignificant.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there was a good horror film a few years back, which actually I didn't realise was a remake until I watched it in a similar sort of vein. It was called The Uninvited.
All right.
And it's only when I was watching it, I just went, hang on, this is A Tale of Two Sisters.
I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's only when I realised, but it was like I was watching it and I went, hang on a minute, and then the same twist happened and I was like, oh, okay. But I was like, to be honest though, until that point, and it was still done very well. I mean, Tale of Two Sisters, I think, is a brilliant film. So, watching that and, they did, the Americans did a pretty good job of retelling the story, sort of thing. Yeah. So I had no problem with that remake. But I must admit, I probably was also slightly taken aback because I went in going, because I saw it was a completely different titled film. I thought, it must be a different thing.
Yeah.
Blake, you have a Ghostbusters poster behind you. Do you count that as a remake? The recent one?
No, I see it as canon, whether people like it for better or worse. I see it as a sequel because I can see there are some elements of it where they go and like they are trying to reboot it in a sense because obviously it was the whole, trying to move into that, but also there were so many callbacks to the previous ones, including them trying to get into the fire, into the fire
station.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yep. Don't know where my brain was going there.
Well, you've always had this amnesia around the emergency. So very
or I'm having a stonk on the two.
Yeah, so possible.
But but that's the thing because of all those sort of callbacks and that, and and their mentions all during the post-credit scene. I was like, there's just too much of a callback for it not to be a thing, you know. It was. There were. I tried to defend it. Maybe it's because I'm a massive lover of Ghostbusters, but it's not the first two films. But it doesn't mean I dislike the film in general. I just think it's just unfortunately the third best Ghostbusters film. So
I wasn't personally a fan, but I think you're right in that it's not. You know, there's bits of it that were totally watchable, and there's, for me, it was just not enough to make it. You know, for me to think.
Yeah. It's certainly flawed. I'm not going to defend it that much.
No, that's fine. I'm not forcing you to.
Right.
It's. I don't know why you keep getting into your head that I force you to kind of be like Sony Pictures advocate. Like it's. I'm well aware of their foibles.
Yeah.
Fully aware of this. I'm trying to think.
He knows I have shares.
Oh, my sympathy. Yeah. Oh, my condolences.
Yeah. But I as I said, I enjoyed it. I think yes, it's not as good as others, but I thought there was enough funny bits. I don't think it deserved as much flack as it got, but there were bits where it was just, I agree, it's not as funny as the other films.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
I'm really struggling to think of remakes that I found really offensively bad. I'm genuinely like, I thought there'd be. When I received this question, I was like, I must be able to think of something and I'm drawing a complete blank. Like just on film. I mean, to be honest, in films in general.
Yeah, as I said, I think my problem is, as I said earlier, is if I think there's a film that I think definitely won't hold up to it, I just won't watch it. So
I tell a lie. I just thought of one, Blake. You'll recognise this. Creature. Yeah, it's not officially a remake, but it is a shot rip-off of Alien.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a remake in the traditional sense, but it is remaking Alien. It's just not officially remaking Alien. If any copyright lawyers even cared enough, they would have had to shut it all down very quickly. But you know, and they
changed it just enough so they didn't get sued. Basically.
Yeah, basically, it was just arse, arse. It was. There's very little that makes me think like this film has next to no redeeming features whatsoever. Like has end credits, and thank fuck they've arrived when they do, that sort of thing. But
yeah, there's only a handful of films that I've watched, and I went, you know what, I want the 2 hours of my life back.
Yeah, that's a sign of a bad experience. Is like when you're regretting it. Like not just you can. I've been to the pictures and spent money on a film, spent money on a ticket and then gone like, I wasn't all that kind of. If I could have waited for DVD, but it's something about the time. I suppose it's because you can get more money, whereas time is finite.
Yeah,
but I just find myself when something has forced me to waste time, it makes it somehow that much more offensive. I don't know what it is about it that makes it so.
I've seen films and I've gone. I mean, I don't think I've never walked out of a film.
Mm-hmm. I never have, actually. No.
I mean, it was tough and I sat through it, but I did watch all of Batman and Robin. I know lots of people who have turned that one off.
Yeah,
but I did persevere with it.
I saw a thing the other day. I think it was Cinema Sins or something, or Honest Trailers. That was what it was.
Oh yeah, the one that had the thing count thing. Or
no, this was Honest Trailers, the one that just does the shorter one that's like just about just a little montage. And they did Batman Forever, and they summed it up in a line, which really kind of stuck out to me, is because it was exactly my experience with the film. The worst movie you've seen a bunch of times.
Yeah,
it's not amazing, but I've watched it so many times, and I don't know. When I was younger, I just thought it was better than it is. But I just, at the time, it was like Jim Carrey kind of at peak scenery chewing best. Peter Stormare levels of scenery getting destroyed by the mouth. But yeah, it's something else. Like
I think it was. I can't remember what the website was. I think it was like. Can't remember. I think it was one of like comedy websites. I can't remember which one it was, but there was like Jay Pinkerton or something like that.
Okay.
And it was a comment about the original Tim Burton Batman. And they were saying, it says a lot when in that both the original Batman, that Tim Burton Batman, and obviously the sequel Batman Returns, that, with all the stuff like the, rocket penguins and the holding on to the balloons, that you were going, yeah, it was the third one where they really started to get campy.
Yeah, that's a peculiar one. One last question from Jeremy. Aquaman looks to be a double hard bastard. He can take a wallop and nothing seems to hurt him or make him bleed. With that in mind, how the fuck did he get all those tattoos? Jeremy, I think you're missing the bigger picture here, mate.
Yeah, I think that's my brain just exploded.
He's in the sea. Squid.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, how does he get all those colour tattoos? Now, I would agree, that doesn't make sense. But if there's squid in the ocean, you're all set, right? You just have to...
I think his question was more, if he can take a wallop and his skin's incredibly hard, how do the needles pierce the skin?
That's also a fair point. I hadn't thought about it from that point of view. But, yeah, I don't know. It depends. Is he maybe Jeremy can clarify.
Magic.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a really... a terrible question now, and you're probably going to laugh at me. Does Aquaman not leave the water?
He can, I think.
So he just go to tattoo parlor.
Yeah, there you go. But I think Blake's right. I think he's got kind of the one at least in the movie trailer, seems to be quite hardy and quite like sort of really thick skin, so he can't be sort of pierced.
Yeah, he sort of gets punched through buildings a few times from the trailer and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty. I love that the trailer game has become such a oversaturated for action points that he basically has to be punched through several buildings. So, yeah, we'll get that, and we'll have a few more buildings for the final film.
My biggest
bigger buildings.
My biggest problem with that trailer, I don't know if you've both seen it, but the trailer itself, they showed like an extended trailer, and it felt like it was about 5-10 minutes long.
Right.
But by the end of it, I felt like I'd seen all the fucking film anyway. So that's why
I hate when they fucking do that.
But that's why I was like, well, that's okay. Yeah. I can save me money and just go see Fantastic Beasts. And so that's basically what my brain went.
Yeah, well, this is true. You are free to do that, and that's always an option.
I think there's kind of something else going on though with trailers, and it's in the last 5 years, maybe 10. We could go back. Is that trailers now? No, it's definitely said the last 5. Like they put out like 3 or 4 different types of trailers. So there's the really short one, like a teaser. Then there's another one, and then there's the extended one. And it's like, I think they're doing it because I think audiences don't actually want to be surprised when they go to see films now.
There are some that I remember reading something about this. A friend of mine shared it as like it was evidence that people don't care about spoilers. Although when I looked into it, the sample size was 30 people.
That's like those awful ads on telly for I don't know, women's hair stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the bottom it says 85% of all women agree it's sample size 4. It's like, what?
That doesn't even add
up. Which woman was that indecisive that she only had 10%?
Yeah, well, no, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. It was all right. It's like, we'll take that as 10. Good-o. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It's like the small print in the ads is always fucking great. It's this will change your life. No promises it will change your life.
But surely, lads, when you go watch a film, you do want to be surprised. You don't want to.
I do. I love being surprised. When we went to see Last Jedi, I go in, I have I do a Star Wars podcast, and yet I try to go in as blind as I possibly can.
Yeah, I didn't watch any trailers for the last couple of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just don't want to. Like when that thing happened with the guy, and it's like, oh my God.
You want it to be it to be a genuine shock, because you want to, I want that kind of thing. I want as close as I'm going to get to when I was a kid and finding out that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father for the first time.
Yeah, I think that's why when everyone kept watching the trailers for the upcoming, the last couple of Star Wars films, everyone was going like, oh, what does that mean? Or what does this speculate? And I'm going like, no, don't want to care, because you're going to by common reason, you're going to accidentally stumble onto what it actually is, and I don't want that in my head.
I'd rather spoilers by just guessing every possible permutation of reality until you get there.
Yeah. So, and that's what I don't want that. I know, I agree. I tried to stick my head in a bucket all the way until finally watching the film when it came out. So yeah.
Like stay off that Game of Thrones thing on Reddit because it'll just kill it.
I found just staying off Reddit has been really nice for me in terms of productivity, especially. It's just not spending as much time on there has been excellent. Occasionally. And I find I spend less time bumming around, so that's always nice. I'm sure my imaginary Reddit magic points are the same as they were before, and I'm sure that nobody's noticed I'm gone. The kind of relationship I have with Reddit is, I'm a lurker. I'm not really much of a. I'm certainly not really a topic poster. I'm more of a lurker and an occasional commenter every once in a blue moon kind of situation. It keeps coming up like Happy Cake Day. I'm like, fuck off. I've been posted 3 times in the last year. Fuck off. And once was probably like an auto reply to some bullshit. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Are there actually 365 international days?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. My wife's a graphic designer, and she does things for certain days. And there's like certain there's usually a couple of different things on every single day. Like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they double up as well sometimes, don't they?
Yeah. But that was the thing. I just went like, is Christmas Day also something really weird? Like, International Don't Eat a Turkey Day or something like that.
Turkey Rights Day. Yeah. What? So how does this work?
Well, I just feel awful.
We only kill turkeys who chose this. And we also kill them in November, so, loophole. Yeah. One more. So another question from Kat. I believe you know her, Blake.
I'm aware.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Good. No, share a house with her and stuff.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So she asks, "Hey, Evilteenies. I'm still not sold on that as a nickname, but I'll go with it for now." So she writes, "Happy October to you all, and happy October to you too. I've really enjoyed the last couple of podcasts where you've either had new people, special guests, or people we haven't seen in a while. Who would you like to have on the show in the future, old or new?" I feel like we've peaked here, Blake, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really feel like at this point it's all downhill, quite possibly. I'll be happy if I'm wrong. That's the thing I'll say about it. Like if that's not the case, then fine.
Unless we can get Peter Stormare on.
If we can get Peter Stormare, we'll have to do it remotely because I don't have as much furniture as I'd like. I can't have enough spare because he's much of a scenery chewer. I don't think I have enough spare furniture of getting.
He'll eat us out of house and home.
Yeah. If he comes to a convention or something and we're all there, like that'd be fine. He could join us on a podcast stage or something if the opportunity ever presented itself. But I don't. I like Peter Stormare, but I don't want him in my house. And I feel bad saying that, but that's ultimately, there you go. Peter Stormare is still on my bucket list. Spud, actually, I wanted to ask you this about the comedy cast. Who, so 2 questions, because they might be different answers. I apologize in advance because I realize that the second one is going to be particularly difficult. So the first question is, who would you consider the most recognizable name you've had on the comedy cast over the years?
I don't know. In the first year, I got 2 lads that were nominated for Young Newcomer, Chortle Newcomer of the Year.
Oh wow,
that was cool.
Nice.
Getting those lads on, Bilal Zafar and Tom. What's Tom's name?
Arnold.
Damn it! That's killing me. Damn it! I've done too many podcasts. 140 episodes now or something, and it's like I can't remember everyone's name.
That's good going. No, that's fair enough. I don't think anybody in their right mind would expect you to remember the total powers of recall. I think that would be slightly unfair on you.
I don't know who would be the most like that. See, the thing is, like our Irish listeners would probably recognise a few names that we've had on. Yeah, you lads in England wouldn't have known because they don't really gig in England as much.
Yeah, I get you.
So yeah, can't really answer your question. It kind of depends where you are in the world. There's a couple of lads like we've had from California who, like, since we've had them on, lads, men and women, and they've like signed on to big deals and stuff like that. So they will be. Okay. See, it's kind of like it's kind of like finding new comedians before people know them. You know what I mean?
So you get to say kind of I knew them when.
Yep,
like,
I got them first. Ha ha ha! I own them. They have to come back on my podcast when they're famous.
Yeah, I would be. Oh god, I'd be the worst for that. I'd be such a kind of.
You owe me, man. You owe me.
Yeah, I'd be the biggest dick. If Blake ever makes it, I'm just going to be like hanging around, like, yeah, remember who got you here, Blake. To be fair to you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what really would make me big, but
Tom Ward. I got his name. Tom Ward.
There you go.
Tom Ward. Okay. They're both fantastic comedians, completely different from each other. Check them out. They were up for newcomer last year.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And look, I mean, I kind of pick people by going through Edinburgh Fringes and stuff.
Yeah.
Even this one that's gone, that finished in August, I'll just go through, I'll find some websites and go through people who are like well reviewed and stuff like that. And I'd like to get them on because they know what they're doing. Or especially people who, here's a tip for you, people who tour, because it means that they are, they're on it. You know what I mean? It's not just people who do the clubs in London. Like they actually get out of England and they do a tour in Holland or whatever. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people who like take it really seriously, and if you're a comedian and you're doing 4 or 5 dates in Holland where they don't speak English they do as a second language, but like then you're fairly fucking serious about your game. You know?
That's fair to say. Yeah. You know? So the second question that I apologise for, because as I say, this is going to be a tricky one. I realise in advance because I would have the same.
You're going to ask me about a bad one, are you?
No. I'm not going to do that because that would be unfair. Do you have, I realise, let's say, I know the answer to this question to a degree because I would be, if you asked me to pick a favourite episode, I would have a hard time because I am proud of everything I've produced, right? But is there one that sticks out for you as like was it just like, whether it's just the chat's great or the guest is perfect for your kind of style, or just, is there one that sticks out for you as like this person?
Actually, there's two. One was with a comedian called Robbie Bonham, who I've just always been a fan of, and he's kind of been a comedian since I was like 18 or so. So he's been on the circuit for a long time, and I didn't know that he had been through just some awful shit. Like I didn't really know his life story, but he, alcoholism, manic depression, suicide, stuff like that. And he came on the podcast and he was just so honest and so open about everything that it was just a great interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just fantastic. If it's not just like I did it, but if anyone had done it and had got him at that moment, it was just perfect. Everything lined up, and he was so open and honest and just vulnerable. But at the same time, he just wanted to hug him and say, "Man, it's going to be all right. You have the talent. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to get there." But like he said on the podcast, he's burned a lot of bridges, and he finds it hard to do stuff in Dublin. But check out that one, Robbie Bonham. I think that's a great podcast for anyone.
Well, there you go. So that's one for you to check out, listeners, if you want to give it a go.
And then the second one is Liam Brunley. He's an Irish-American stand-up comedian. He has just an amazing backstory. He was a philosophy, a master of philosophy in California. He was teaching it for a while. Then he got into WWF wrestling. Then he got into steroid dealing and smuggling. Got set up for a thing with that. Went to jail for a while. Got out of jail. People wouldn't do business with him and all that because he was tainted. The courts made a big thing out of him because he was WWF, and they sent him down, so he went to jail, came out, then was framed for murder, spent 5 years, I think, in jail for murder that he didn't do. He was set up by the cops. The cops were so dumb that they filmed setting him up. And and then he's come out, and now he's a stand-up. He's just got a mad story. He was a great guy, and I'm going to be working with him in the future. So we're doing something next year. He's coming over to Dublin. We're going to be recording that with some Irish comedians, and it should be on either Netflix or Comedy Central.
Oh wow, nice! That's awesome.
So, really cool. So check his out, Liam Brunley. He's it was a great interview as well. Really. Well,
what I'll do is I'll find, so it's Robbie Bonham and Liam Brunley, and I'll find those episodes and I'll link to them in the show notes for people who want to go to those specific ones.
Magic.
And then third question: is there somebody who you'd consider like I'm not saying not in the sense of like, if I got this one, I would be able to just shut it down. But just in terms of like, is there somebody on the show who you'd be like, this is the one where I'd feel like, yes, this is the ultimate kind of the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
As a guest, is there like a particular person?
It's a weird one because, like, I know, like, I'm playing the long game with the podcast because it's very niche. I mean, who really wants to know about new stand-up comedians all the time? Most people, they just want to see the comedians they know. So this is why Michael McIntyre's so well received everywhere. It's because people know his comedy, they like him. And the same, John Bishop. John Bishop's huge, and it's because everyone just knows him by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I know my thing is very niche, but what I would like to do, say like in my 5th year, what I would like to have is well-known new. So I still want to make sure that I'm bringing new comedy, you know what I mean, to people, because I mean, you lads, you're not going to hear of the vast majority of these Irish lads that had on, and the same people living in Ireland, they're not going to know a lot of the British and Scottish, Scottish, you know what I mean, people on, because they're not going. But anyway, whatever. So that's what I want. But like, I'd give Anton to have a go at like Bill Burr or Louis C.K.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to have a chance to talk to them. But like, the challenge is you have to make the interview interesting for them, because they've been doing it so long now and they've been interviewed so much that there's very, very little you can ask them that they they'd remember you for, or that they'd really be interested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the challenge. That's why, like for me, like, comedians aren't really my heroes when it comes to this. I love comedy, huge comedy fan, but actually, like, I love people like Michael Parkinson and Louis Theroux, and an Irish one, Gabe Byrne was his name. He's gone now. These lads just fucking amazing interviews. Frost, David Frost, before back in the 70s and 80s and that, like, just brilliant interviewers. And I'll watch their stuff as well on YouTube, like that. Like, if I just kind of feeling a bit like especially if I can't think of something interesting or new, to a new angle on what to ask someone, I'll go and I'll watch some old interviews of theirs with comedians and say, oh, there's something I can use. You know, I'm stealing from them, but like, they're the masters of it. So you know, that's what you want. Like, if you want to, you know, set yourself goals, you know, set who do you want to, not who do you want to copy, but who are identify your heroes, you know, and make sure that they are your heroes, you know, and they're fucking clean.
That helps a lot. Yeah,
they're not scumbags or degenerates. And then
looking at you, Gigs.
You bastard.
And then just kind of watch their style, and you'll get your own style and your own voice the longer that you do stuff.
Very true.
But then like, don't be afraid to take lessons. You know what I mean? Like, always be trying to improve and get better and stuff like that. So, to answer your question, man, I want big, small, and I want to go with the big ones. I'd love like Jimmy Carr be class as well.
Can you? Oh God,
Frankie Boyle, man, Frankie Boyle. I'd love to have a go on Frankie as well. And it just there's tons, man. I go onto Twitter. And I just search for people to interview, and I'm just like, there's so many. And like, the way I see it, I only do 52 interviews a year. Like, we're doing extra stuff now with myself and Seamus. We have a co-host. We put out extra episodes from time to time as well. But they're going to come out as surprises. We're not going to tell you when they're coming. They're just going to land.
Yeah, when they're ready, they'll be there. Yeah.
But like, the way I see it, it's only 52 episodes a year. It's nothing in the grand scheme of things. And there's so many comedians out there doing it, you know? So there's so many, man. There's so many.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously I hope that happens for you, because I'm sure that would be, you know, it'd be like basically a kind of almost like Rogan-esque, you know, level of, because I mean, that guy, it's peculiar. Like, the thing about him is I listen to like a lot of his episodes, but I can't listen to every single one because I know fuck all about MMA, and I'm not the least bit interested in it. Yeah. And a lot of the stuff a lot of people he's interviewing, I'm not that familiar with. But there's occasionally there'll be one I'm like, oh, I've got to hear that. You know, like the only one that disappointed me was there was an interview with Mel Gibson and another guy, and I thought it was an hour long, and normally Rogan goes like 3 or 4, And I was like, oh, fuck, what did he say? I thought I was going to get some epic, like big falling out or something like that. But no, he was just there to talk about stem cells.
Yeah, so sometimes he does things badly as well. But look, he's not a journalist. You know what I mean?
He's just a conversation.
Because he's the recent one out with Conor McGregor's coach, John Kavanagh, and his nutritionist. And the thing is, Joe, he really fucked up the interview. He just spoke for the first hour about nutrition. And it's like, whoa, man, you're doing this all wrong. Speak to the coach first. And then go to the nutrition stuff.
Yeah.
But look,
it's literally topical. He's literally just come out of this big fight, which he was expected to kind of do all right on, and he's had his ass handed to him.
And it's mad as well, like the power Joe Rogan has, because like he made Jordan Peterson famous. I don't care. Like, you cannot say that the Canada law gender thing that didn't make him famous. Fucking Joe Rogan made him famous.
It made him. Yeah, he got him mentioned kind of here and there. But I agree. I think the Rogan interviews were probably where people started to go, oh, okay, this guy. No, I agree. I think he's got a huge. I forget how much of a reach he has sometimes, just because he's got, like I say, he's got those different demographics covered. He's got people he brings on to talk about various different things, like MMA to science to technology to everything under the sun. He just seems to like talking to people generally. So he'll have a conversation with anyone about anything he is remotely interested in, which is great. I can totally see the appeal, and I'm sure were I in that position, I would want to do the same. But it's like, but it always just baffles me how big his demographic spread is. Like, he can just go absolutely anywhere from week to week. Like, you can have one day it's a comedian, one day it's a professor of anthropology, one day it's a physicist, one day it's Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. It's just a really weird mix of voices and stuff. And they say, if you can kind of get to that level of, like, you've got the kind of the spread of experience across stand-up, that sounds like an awesome thing to aim for. That's it. I hope that happens for you, because that does sound excellent.
But look, I think the aim with the podcast was always that I always thought it would lead on to other things. Like, I don't think I'll ever make any money out of this. I really don't. But I love doing it.
Yeah,
and but it has opened doors in other stuff for me already, like this Netflix thing or Comedy Central or wherever.
Sure, I can imagine that's a big old door to open. That's really, really cool.
Exactly, and that's you got. But you just got to keep knocking on doors, and it's like, if you treat it as a hobby, then it's a hobby. But if you treat it as like the way I see it is kind of a CV of what I can do journalistically or documentary making. You know what I mean? So that's why I keep doing it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, and obviously, they say you've got a wide body of work behind you, because I was looking at I had a quick browse while we were talking looking for those particular episodes, and I'm going to have to do it another day because it's fucking tons.
It's huge.
They say over 100 episodes is
100, nearly. I think it's 133 episodes, and there's a documentary there as well.
That's
video document, and I used to put out the videos on YouTube in video as well. So yeah. It's far too much.
Too much, there's something to be said for having a lot to choose from. I'll say that, and there you go. But I think, being as it's kind of late, obviously I don't want to keep you too long. I will say that I think this is the point where the Crazy Train will kind of end its journey. But Spud, thank you so much for joining us. It's been brilliant talking to you, and it's had a ton of fun. Now, if you've enjoyed the show and you wish to subscribe for more fun like this, then we're available on all the good podcast platforms and the Apple one as well. So if you want to subscribe, you can do that through any of the usual means. So Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, we're pretty much everywhere. If we're not, let us know and we can fix that. We are available on, you can tweet us at Emotionally14. You can Facebook Emotionally14 and the Crazy Train podcast Facebook group. And you can email us at podcast@emotionally14.com, just like Kat and Jeremy did. Spud, this is the moment where you have the opportunity. In addition, obviously, we talked a bit about the Comedy Cast, but if there's any other stuff you want to plug, or if you just want to give it another plug, social media time. So the floor is yours.
Look, the best way is just go to thecomedycast.com and you'll get all my social media stuff there. So if you prefer to follow me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, I recommend Instagram, to be honest. Then just go to thecomedycast.com and you'll find them there. And you'll also be able to find my documentary, Funny How. So I interviewed 3 Irish stand-up comedians, all about comedy. And there's some gig footage in there as well. The interviews, they're very funny lads. So check that out. And that's that's what led to the Netflix stuff. So I hope you like it.
Yeah, nice. I'll make sure. Like I say, I'll make sure there's I'll make sure there's a link to the website in the show notes and on the website so people can check it out.
Thanks,
and obviously, give your show a go. Blake, I know yours is quicker, so where can people find you on social media?
You can obviously find me on Instagram at Harm of the Appreciator. You can find me on Twitter at fucksake_Blake. And you can also find me on Facebook, where we also have the E14 Crazy Train Facebook group.
Yeah, it's indeed you can, and obviously people can interact with us directly there. We do a little bit of shit posting, just sharing silly pictures and stuff, but it's mostly a chance for people to hear the episodes, have conversations, in a similar way to how we do on the show, just nice and loose and fun. Everybody has a good time, and there you go. So in a similar way, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision, and obviously I'm the face behind the Emotionally 14 social media account. So Emotionally 14 on Twitter and Instagram, and there you go. So thank you, Blake, again.
You're welcome.
It's been awesome having you on.
Thanks for having me, lads. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Blake.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully we can get you on another time in the not too distant future.
For sure.
And there you go. So thank you very much for listening to The Crazy Train, the comedy podcast with no rails from Emotionally 14. Peace.